Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, me and my friends, we are going to explain about the education digital policy. Our group members consist of 5 members, which is Muhammad Amini Hafiz, Muhammad Karl Danish, Muhammad Haziq, Nur Aina Nazira, and Nurul Farah. And we are from group 4. Without further ado, let's continue with the introduction.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Aina Nazira and today I will start my introduction with digital education policy. Okay, as we know that the DEP is a paradigm change from traditional rote learning educations for educators or learners itself to integrated use, which the use of element in technology, device, network, robotic and more. Okay. So before we go into the DEP, we going to go through the historical first, which over the decade itself, the education has experienced in struggling to complete the evolution. Okay, especially about their rapid development of the fourth industrial revolution for IR. Okay, so basically this transformation resulted in the introduction of the Digital Education Policy DEP in 2023 by the Ministry of Education MOE. Okay, in Malaysia, DEP existence is to have a comprehensive roadmap to build a sustainable digital learning environment to equip the nation, especially for the youth, modern generation, to thrive in about the future world of development and increasingly driven by the AI, which is artificial intelligence and automation or big data. Assalamualaikum, my name is Aina Nazira and today I will proceed about the policy problem, digital education policy. Okay, the first main point here is facility and infrastructure. As we know that the rural area having a considerate with a major problem, which is lack of infrastructure and facilities. Some of them facing about their demographic or not in development area. Okay, by then they facing some sort of weak provided in regards of their technologies such as laptop, computers, tablet, compared to urban area. Okay, they also having some difficulty in accessing technology and teaching materials in this such a way due to the weak provided in regard of their device. They are hard to access their materials for students to learn during PDPC. So their experience or their expanded to know about the technologies are quite slow compared to other school area. Meanwhile, some other factor that students facing problem to learn or access their network is due to shortage of fiber optic cables and cellular tower. Okay, so basically the rural area, either there's a people who become active to take the optic cables, where it is important to connect not just school facility but house also. And this is serious cases and hard for everyone to connect to another facility. And then okay, and I will proceed with one example, which among SJKC teachers in Seberang Perai, they're facing with this kind of lack facilities and infrastructures, which they told that they having a inadequate infrastructure, a shortage of focused professional development, and lack between their organization, which is that administrative assistant. Okay, next for the second main point, I will proceed with the lack of expert technology among educators. Okay, so basically from the rural area, they are having with the shortage of qualified teacher. It means that some of the teachers doesn't want to go to teach in rural area, as where they know that some of mindset of them thinking that rural area have facing a lot of obstacle and trouble to teach, which makes them a bit not comfortable. Okay, This part also related with the survey at Gua Musang in Kelantan. These cases that the teachers are facing with challenges, which means that they frequently criticize the lack of time spent teaching. Okay, so basically the teachers doesn't have enough time, or they need to take a long time to develop themselves about the ICT. Okay, this also giving a demand for the teachers in rural area, as where they need a training to qualify themselves as a teacher, to know and acknowledge about the ICT or technologies. For the main point, number 3, is a weak coordination of stakeholder and a government agency. Okay, so basically the rural area, which having a trouble to get their strong or quality device due to some sort of lack funding from the government itself or any agency. Okay, so basically when they facing the lack of funding, they have a complicated instructions and learning. So this behavior, which giving a trouble to students and teacher to develop their knowledge and education. And then a lot of underprivileged communities and poverty having severe in this issue. There are one cases which are related with government here between Kelantan and KL, as where they lost between administrative level. So different state and administrative have a miscommunication, which couldn't deliver it effectively regard of their main issue to solve the problem about the rural area. And also some of teacher need their rights to talk about their needs in school. And if the government couldn't hear about their problem in a rural area, so the teachers or educators will have a mistrust towards the government. So it is risk towards the government. Okay, next I'll proceed for the fourth main point, student lack of knowledge in digital and competency. Okay, before we get into the student lack of knowledge about digital, there are factors which from the teachers and the provider, which is the government, that causes for students to be like couldn't really develop. Okay, this due to, since the previous main point, that the teachers not enough time to learn about their e-learning, digital and technologies. So they being criticized about their spend time to learn about the technologies experience. Furthermore, for the rural area, they are facing with not updated resources such as book or e-book. So they couldn't develop their knowledge as well, since they have not enough resources updated. Okay, from the resources, they also need a updated digital device, so that they can access effectively to know about the updated current issue, or to learn more about their education. If the student lack of knowledge about digital competency is too long, they will facing a problem in their future. For example, if they from the rural background and not updated about resources, so once they get into a new level of education such as university, they are quite late compared to students who are from the urban background. Since the urban background are well known, they are using the updated device, and they know the every aspect about the technologies and usage device.
Okay, next I will talk about the objective that have been implemented in this policy. Okay, so there are four objectives of the national digital education policies. Okay, so first is developing digitally fluent student. The national digital education policy has recommended various objectives to solve this problem regarding low digital literacy skill in the school educational system. And one of them is developing the overall student digital understanding when it comes to things related to digital content that they are already familiarized with in their daily life. For example, social media platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, which the student usually use for entertainment. However, this objective will directly help address this lack of digital knowledge and competencies among the student by not only teaching them how this digital content could be used for entertainment, but also for programming, coding, video creation, and so on. Therefore, eliminating the problem of students in the country lacking in digital literacy skill by transforming them into a full-fledged digital creators. Besides that, the second objective is empowering educators and educational leaders. Leaders, teachers, as well as school principals can be considered as important figures for students to learning and improving their digital literacy skill, since they are the one who will help them in implementing those new advanced technological skills as well. Unfortunately, when it comes to the digital literacy skills among the school educators in Malaysia, in the past, the knowledge and competencies that they have regarding this digital literacy is not enough or insufficient for teaching their students properly. Fortunately, the National Digital Education Policies, in order to combat this problem, has implemented one specific objective, which is by directly empowering their currently lacking digital understanding. For example, the objective ensure that teachers are not just receiving new devices, but are also provided with professional development and well-known certificate. Therefore, allowing the success of the policy is ensured, which is improving the overall digital literacy skill for educators and students in the school. Other than that, the third objective is strengthening infrastructure, and digital content in the school educational system. This is because before the complete implementation or modification of the national digital education policies, the difference in new technology infrastructure that each of the school have in the country, like high-speed internet, can be said to be equally distributed, particularly when it comes to schools that are located in rural areas. See, the technology that they have compared to those in urban location are pulled apart. For example, when urban schools already have better computer lab equipment for their learning session, like brand new advanced devices, those in rural areas are still struggling with broken or outdated one, which resulted in huge disparities between them at the end. This objective of the policy is to eradicate this problem by focusing on making sure that every school in Malaysia will have the same digital tool, technology, facilities, and so on without any form of offenders, thus achieving digital equity throughout all the schools in Malaysia by ensuring those high-speed connection facilities and quality digital learning are available to every student regardless of their region. And last but not least is optimizing active engagement between strategic partners. The cooperation between the government and strategic partners such as private companies and NGO also play an important role in making huge changes to the country's weak digital school education. Previously, the government and private companies have collaborated for the purpose of teaching and improving digital knowledge of students in the school through various kind of program. Unfortunately, this cooperation often come out as ineffective, since most of the time the parties involved, like the private sectors, NGO, and the government itself, will operate individually that lead to a desired outcome. For example, these entities has made a project oftentimes redundant, wasted resources, and much more. This objective will fill the gap by prioritizing the partners as a medium for digital growth, specifically making sure that each of the government play partners to share their resources and expertise effectively. Therefore, achieving an even more active and synchronized cooperation between both parties, making this school digital education from a private effort into a successful national collaboration. These are all the main objective of the national digital education policy Malaysia.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Amin Hafiz. So today we're going to continue for the next part, which is policy implementation. So for pillar 1, which is digitally fluent students. To start, let's look at the heart of this policy, which is our students. Ministry of Education is not just trying to make kids tech savvy, which usually just means knowing how to use a phone, but they want them to be digitally fluent. And this means that students are not just using apps, but they are creating them. And by reshaping the curriculum to include AI and also data analytics from primary school, we are moving students from being passive consumers to proactive producers. A great example of this is the Fasih Digital Initiative, which uses project-based learning like coding and robotics to give them real-world skills. And to make sure that no one is left behind, the government has already started distributing over 50,000 laptops, specifically targeting rural schools to bridge that digital gap. And next is Pillar 2, which is digitally competent educators. A digital classroom only works if the teacher knows how to lead it. And Pillar 2 is all about transforming our teachers from traditional lecturers into digital facilitators. Ministry of Education uses a competency standard to see where each teacher stands and then offers them continuous blended learning training. And we also have a network of digital champions, which these are high-performing teachers who mentor their colleagues at the grassroots levels. We are even seeing collaboration with global leaders like the Apple Learning Coach program, which certifies teachers to use advanced tools to make their daily lessons much more interactive and exciting for their students. Now, let's talk about the engine behind all of this, which is Pillar 4, infrastructure and infrastructure. You can't have a digital education without a strong foundation. So this pillar focuses on upgrading school networks, specifically expanding WAN and LAN services, so that a student in a remote village has the same high-speed internet as a student in the middle of Kuala Lumpur. But it's not just about cables and Wi-Fi, it's about the infrastructure. By moving resources to cloud through the Delima platform, learning materials are now available 24 hours. And this also allows the ministry to use big data to track student performance in real time. A cool example of this is in action is the AI-powered classroom pilot project in Sarawak, which shows how AI can actually help teachers personalize lessons for every single student's needs. Finally, the ministry knows that they can't do this alone. So for Pillar 6, which is Committed Strategic Partners, uses what we call the triple helix model, which is a fancy way of saying that the government, industry and academia are all working together. By partnering with private companies and GLCs, schools get access to the latest hardware and even digital apprenticeships that the government alone might not be able to fund. A prime example is Teach for Malaysia. They deploy trained fellows into low-income or B40 communities to make sure that the most vulnerable students are not left out of this digital revolution. In short, the DEP 2023 is not just about school plan. It's a whole of society mission to ensure every Malaysian student is ready for the future. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Today, I will briefly explain the political, social, and technological factors that influence Malaysia's education system. Firstly, from a political perspective, Malaysia's role as Asian chair allows the Ministry of Education to strengthen cooperation with other Asian countries through student exchange program, university partnerships, and joint research. This improves Malaysia's reputation and strengthens regional cooperation through education. However, Asian policies require agreement from all member countries, so decision-making can sometimes be slow. Another political factor is the Bantuan Awal Persekolahan. The government distributed the financial aid earlier after listening to parents' complaints that the assistance arrived too late. This shows that the government is responsive to public needs. The 150 ringgit aid helps family prepare school supplies earlier and reduce financial burden, especially for low-income households. Next, from a social perspective, there is still a significant gap between rural and urban education. Rural students often face problems such as limited internet access, lack of devices, and fewer educational resources. As a result, they may struggle to compete academically with students in urban areas. Therefore, reducing this education gap is important to ensure equal opportunities for all students. Lastly, from a technological perspective, the Ministry of Education is promoting digital learning through STEM programs, robotics, and smart classroom tools. Programs like the My Robotic Challenge help students develop coding, teamwork, and problem-solving skills that are important for future careers. However, challenges such as poor internet connectivity and limited digital skills still need to be improved. In conclusion, political support, social equality, and technological development are all important in improving Malaysia's education system and preparing students for the future. Thank you.
Alright, now let's move to the recommendation. First, let's look at the United Kingdom. The UK treats the internet as a vital utility like water or electricity. Backed by a 45 million investment to ensure every school has high-speed fibre and wireless access. In the Malaysia context, we must adopt similar change plan to close the digital gap between urban centres and rural areas, specifically in Sabah and Sarawak. By making high-speed connectivity a mandatory requirement, we align ourselves with Shift 7 of the Malaysia Education Blueprint. This ensures that whether a student in Kuala Lumpur or Long Samado, they enjoy the exact same access to the national curriculum. For the second recommendation, it will be inspired by the Singapore. So moving to our neighbour, Singapore with their EdTech Master Plan 2030 focuses on using artificial intelligence for pedagogical benefits. For Malaysia, we propose integrating AI directly into our Delima platform. This allows for personalized learning where AI helps students master literacy and numeracy at their own pace. By automating administrative tasks through AI, we free up our educators to focus on what matters most under the national education philosophy, building student character, ethics, and adab. For the second recommendation is about integrated system which inspired by the Estonia. A global leader in e-schooling in Estonia, 95% of learning materials are digital and cloud-based. Malaysia should follow this lead by transitioning all textbook, journals, and tests into a full cloud ecosystem. This isn't just about modernizing, it's a practical solution to the long-standing heavy school bag issue in high printing costs. Furthermore, it creates a transparent system where parents can monitor their child's progress in real time, fulfilling the goals of our smart school roadmap. For the last recommendation, of course, is about one student and one device, which is inspired by the Japan. Japan's Giga School project, which aims to provide one device for every student. To implement this in Malaysia, we recommend a hybrid financial model, free subsidies for B40 students, and tax incentive or device as a service schemes for the others. This ensures every child has a personal laptop or tablet for school and home use. This strategy supports our TVET and 4IR frameworks, ensuring our students graduate not just with a diploma, but with a digital fluency required for the future workforce. And that's all for the recommendation. Thank you.
And to wrap things up, what we are looking at with this policy is a real game changer for our schools. It's not just about putting tablets in classroom, it's about making sure every student in Malaysia, whether they are in a big city or a remote village, gets the same shot at success. We want a generation that doesn't just use technology, but actually understands how to build it and lead with it, all while staying safe and ethical online. And this policy is the bridge that closes the gap between the urban and rural divide. By sticking to this plan, we are making a promise to our students that their future will be bright, fair, and ready for the digital world. So that's all from us. Thank you.